A boat goes down in Cabo San Lucas and the whole crew is lost at sea. Tremendous kelp paddy action going on out of San Diego as yellowfin tuna surge into the area. Wide open white sea bass and so much more today on the morning briefing with Friedman Adventures. It is great to be back with you all, and I've got to tell you, we have got so much for you, including Dan, a cancer survivor who is on board the Freedom. I'll have his story for you in a moment. Let me take you down south of the border, first of all, however, to Cabo San Lucas, where the details are a little sketchy for me. I haven't had a great deal of time to delve into it, but Sean Morgan, who ran boats here for many, many years, was on scene down there and reporting back to me. Sean said he's not sure completely about the details, but he thinks it went something like this. The Sportfisher protocol was on a blue marlin for about 1 hour. They were backing down, took a wave over the stern. Shortly thereafter, they lost their starboard engine, and the guys opened the hatch, looked down in the engine room, and they were swamped. The engine room had taken on a ton of water. They fired off some flares and tried to get some boats in the surrounding area to come to their rescue, but the boats didn't see it, and they went down literally in about 5 minutes. Well, the good news is, take a look. Here's what happened last night in Cabo San Lucas, because the entire fleet in Cabo came together and worked together to go out and make this happen. All right, so great that was able to happen down there in Cabo San Lucas. Thoughts and prayers with their families, and so thankful that was the resolution of the story. All right, now let's go to San Diego as I battle this crow this morning. And this would be the morning that I went back to the mic that gets the ambient sounds, because so many of you are requesting it. Others like the other mic. Well, whatever. All right, let me take you to San Diego, because I'm telling you, it's really getting crazy. Our Friday Mahi-mahi trip almost sold out. Now be gone by the end of the day, I'm sure, if not here this morning. It is looking so good. And I'm telling you, there's bluefin, there's more yellowfin than we've seen pushing in. There's a ton of dorado, not biting on the yellowfin tuna. When I say that, in huge numbers, they're catching them and starting to see more and more of those fish. But it is looking really good. I get a lot of my intel here this morning from the Mission Bell and my good friends, I should say, Scott Buchert, who was on board, the captain of the Mission Bell, Sean Hardigan, and his girlfriend, soon-to-be fiance, putting the pressure on you there, Sean, Mimi Pham. They all sent me video, you're watching it now, video of foamers that they were looking at, and hooking all kinds of big bonita, catching yellows on the kelps, nice big yellows. For kelp paddy yellowtail, these fish are really, really nice, and seeing more yellowfin tuna. Sean told me that the YFT are in better numbers than they've seen all year long right now at this time. And those yellowfin tuna are mixed with the bluefin tuna. Every once in a while, you'll run up on a small spot of yellowfin and it's straight yellowfin, but most of the time it's mixed with the bluefin tuna, and we are seeing a lot of it right now. Man, I mean, that light switch could go on. The light switch is already on with regard to the yellowtail on the kelps. There's some huge numbers, and kelp paddy fishing, by its very nature, means that you can miss. You can go out on a day when the boat next to you or a mile away found the right kelp and got 100 plus on the yellowtail, and you missed. So I do want you to know that. But a lot of 8 to 15 pound yellowtail, some of that 5 pound stuff, some of it up in the 20, even 30 pound class on the kelps down there right now. And of course, a fly line bait or an iron has been the best way to get the job done. I like fishing iron. It works so well. You don't have to go to the bait tank. You get your fish on the deck, you fire out another iron, you're bit again. You can make it happen really, really fast. And there has been 2-day trips here recently that we talked about that have had limits in a few hours on the yellows, on the kelps. It is that good, but all that variety now. And even the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. boats are getting a good piece of bluefin tuna. We saw that here also, so looking fantastic. Let me give you a Sean score. He had 10 bluefin tuna on the Mission Bell, 18 yellowtail, a dorado, 18 bonita, 3 yellowfin tuna, The YFT in the 20 to 25 pound class. The yellows, as I mentioned, nice grade, and those bonita are pretty big, 5 to 10 pound bonita running around. It really looks good. And there's a ton of flatheads on the kelps right now. Also, a lot of dorado on the kelps. They haven't really turned on. Most trips you have from 2 to 12 dorado. One of these days, in the very near future, you're going to see 100 plus on the dorado, and then it's going to be game on. And I'm praying it's going to be in these coming days. And we've got a south swell pushing up from Cabo San Lucas. We think, maybe, there's no science to this, but pushing up more warm water species, and certainly more warm water. And man, oh man, it looks fantastic. The Apollo 17 guys, 170 on the yellowtail, 17 dorado, 2 bluefin, and a yellowfin on a 2-day trip. Pacific Voyager, 200 plus yellowtail on a 3-day trip. The Liberty, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, listen to me, everybody. 31 anglers, 38 bluefin tuna, and they had a little mix of everything else along with it. But BFT, most of it 20 to 40 pounds, so it's definitely catchable, no problem. Fishing 30, 40 pound fluoro is such a good way to go. I would still bring some heavy stuff if you've got it, some 50 pound, and they're biting the bait and they are settling down, and they're mixed with the yellowfin tuna. Man, what a smorgasbord, and what great weather. You got that south swell, but there's no wind at all. It's gorgeous, and it has kind of a tropical feel to it, like you're in Costa Rica or southern Mexico. I love fishing like this in these kinds of conditions. It's fall-like stuff, you know, like September or even October. I love fishing in these kinds of conditions, and hopefully this is going to continue. The Old Glory, 12 yellows, 3 dorado on a 1-day trip. I only mentioned that, and of course we had a great show last night, and Chappie from the Old Glory participated a lot. They missed. It happens, and I want you to know that, okay? So we'll keep that in mind. The Old Glory's had several wonderful trips here recently. I hope you loved our live show as much as I did with Jolene Thompson last night. What a show. You should go back and watch it. It was really a great one. The Grande, 30 guys, 6 dorado, 116 yellowtail. Great fishing on the kelps right now. Boats that have been fishing only for the bluefin tuna are starting to get more and more. Those long range guys are keeping a lid on it. They're whacking them pretty darn good right now. And of course, they're getting all the kelp patty fish you want. And they're also on yellowfin further down the line. And that has also been really, really good. I don't know how to make this more clear to you. It's great fishing out of San Diego. This is the time to go. I know things are tough right now with inflation, and discretionary income is, I understand. I mean, filling your gas tank is tough right now. I get that. It's tough for me also. So you're trying to watch your sport fishing dollar. This is a time to go fishing. I really, really want to tell you that on those kelps. And having said that, you might go and miss. We might miss on Friday on the Mahi-mahi. Hopefully, though, we're going to have another great one like we have had in the past with my friend Bill Wilkerson. Only a few spots left. Jump on board. I'll see you down there on Friday morning. All right, now moving you to the island situation. Down there off of Ensenada, the Todos Santos region, a lot of barracuda, good calico bass fishing. Coronado Islands are still really, really good. There's lots of nice grade yellowtail there. 18 to 25 pound stuff, some 15, some even bigger than that. A lot of fly line bait fish. Sometimes you have to get tough and drop down to 20 pound fluorocarbon. Most of the time they'll bite the 25. Chappie last night from the Old Glory said, it's all about the bait tank. Taking your time, choosing a good hot bait, and changing that bait regularly. Chappie is 100% right, as my dear friend Valentino goes by this morning. All right, there he is. All right, so Chappie is absolutely right about that. Choosing a bait that's really lively, and I like a butt hook bait. Man, that bait just swims out. And if you toss that bait out and it's just sitting there, just, you know, spool back a little bit, and that bait will take off before you know it. You will have a bite. Choose a good hot bait. And the other thing that I don't emphasize enough is when you choose a hot bait, get it in the water as fast as possible. Make sure your hands are wet before you choose the bait. Your hands are dry, all those scales come off. You drop the bait on the deck and it's the best bait you've ever seen in your life. It's done. It's over with. And if you don't get a bite, change it. Change it, change it, change it. Anytime you're fishing, all those ideas will help you a lot. I can't tell you how good the Pride out of 22nd Street Landing has been doing this year, and Captain Sean Roberts has done it again. We've got two-day trips coming up. If you book before, I think, the middle of August, it's really a great price for 2-day trips on the Pride. Hope you can join us. But let's get back to Gino Machino and Sean Roberts and the Pride, because Gino Machino, who's a huge part of the Friedman Adventures family, keeps me in tune. Great guy, always sharing our videos. He was on board the Pride on a day-and-a-half trip that just got in a little while ago, and they had limits of white sea bass. Tremendous fishing. The jackpot was up there at 53 pounds. A gorgeous sea bass. And Gino graces the cover of the Friedman Adventures morning briefing today. So Gino had a lot of great information for you all. Fishing a 1/2 ounce lead head or an 1/8 ounce sliding ink sinker. He said 2.0 to 6.0 size hooks. I like those big hooks, especially when it's fishing like this. It is as good as you could possibly want it. And they've been jumping around the local islands here. Nicholas, Santa Barbara, jumping around in there and doing so great. And Sean Roberts, man, I'll tell you, that guy, I fished with him on our one day because we got blown out. We had horrible conditions and we didn't catch all that much, but we dealt with wind and all kinds of poor conditions. That guy, he is not only a hard worker, but I mean, he's got that thing that I don't know what it is, but some guys have it. Sean's got it. He knows how to find fish. He works hard at it, does a great job. The Pride with a huge trip. Oh, and yeah, they also had limits of barracuda on board this one, a couple of halibut, sheep's head, and so much more. Just a tremendous trip, no question about it. Boats fishing San Clemente Island continue to hammer out decent catches of yellowtail. You're still, pulling your hair out because of the sea lions over there. It's really, really a pain in the you-know-what, but hopefully that will, that's never going to settle down for a long time. They're going to have to deal with that. Fly line bait, good yellowtail fishing over there at times. There's been some nice hits, and boats like the Amigo, the Thunderbird, the Freedom, all those guys have been having some pretty good fishing on those yellows. Sometimes it's a flash in the morning on the yellow, so you've got to be up at the crack of dawn and ready to go with that fluoro. By the way, www.opsonusa.com is what you want to fish with. Put in FA at checkout, and you'll get a handwritten note from Greg Brown as well as a free gift. So again, all those tips we gave you about fishing bait really come into play. On board the Freedom today, besides Jolene Thompson, who was our outstanding guest last night, is a man by the name of Dan. And Dan was in a battle with leukemia. He has survived it, overcome it, and guess what the first thing he wants to do is? It's his first trip back on board the Freedom today. I think after you watch this, you're going to be pulling for Dan to have an outstanding day today. Dan Deegan, I just met you. Give me a handshake here, man. It's really nice to meet you. We talked a little bit about things we have in common, and they seem to be many, but you recently overcame a battle with leukemia, and this tonight on the Freedom is your first trip back. How does that feel?
It is fantastic, man. It's fantastic. I haven't fished since 2018. I went out on a 5-day trip on the backside of San Clemente. And can I say the boat I went on?
Of course. Yeah.
Went out on the Vagabond, and
Good.
I caught a 220-pound bluefin and 204-pound on the kite. And
who was running the boat?
It was Mike Lackey's son-in-law.
Okay, very good.
I'm trying to think what his name is.
That's all right. Yeah, that's all right.
But
Mike's a great guy.
Yeah.
Mike told somebody, who was that? I can't remember. Somebody's going to remember this, but Mike Lackey said back in 1986, he told this guy that I was talking to just recently, but I'm 800 years old, so I forgot. Mike Lackey said, that Phil Friedman, because I started 976 tuna, he is the voice of Southern California sport fishing. So Mike, thank you. I mean, 40 years later, I'm saying thank you. But so you had a great trip on the bag, it sounds like.
Had a great trip, and then 2019, I get diagnosed with AML leukemia.
And how did that? Did it just take the wind out of you?
Yeah, well, I had a trip planned on the Vagabond to go on another 5-day trip in September, and I got hit with the news in August. And I asked the doctors, "Can I go fishing?" And they said, "No, you can. You're going in the hospital." And I had a chemo, radiation, and a stem cell bone marrow transplant.
Oh my God.
And then we broke right into COVID in 2020.
Oh geez, what a mess.
Yeah. So this October, I'm coming up on 3 years in remission. My older brother Kevin Deegan was my bone marrow transplant.
Wow.
He's
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's a retired fireman from City of Burbank.
Yeah.
And this is my first trip. It's only an overnighter, but I'm going out on the Freedom.
And you got to meet Jolene Thompson, was our live guest on our show. So
Yeah.
how's that? Pretty cool, right?
Pretty cool.
You'll be fishing with her?
And I get to meet you.
Oh, well, yeah, there's always a negative to everything.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a whole bunch of people, me too, that are going to be praying that not only that you catch some nice fish, but that you just have a wonderful first trip back.
That's what I want to do, man. I want to get out on the water and just have fun. And we're going to catch some yellowtails and white sea bass. So
Doesn't get any better.
I just want to get out on the water, man. It was time to break the ice.
You're living proof, living testament as to why fishing and the great outdoors is so important.
Yeah.
You know what? We've known each other for about 30 seconds, and I still feel like giving you a hug.
All right, Phil.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
it. Good luck on the Freedom.
Okay.
And I really mean that. I mean, I just met the guy, and I just felt this bond. You could feel that he was really a good guy. So Jolene is out there. She's supposed to take a photo of Dan with a big yellowtail or a sea bass or something like that. And I certainly am rooting for him, as I know so many of you are. And any of you who are in a battle with cancer right now, like my friend Eddie Leland, can draw some strength from this. Know that you can beat this, and know that there's a lot of great fishing trips out there in your future. No question about that. Up there in the Channel Islands, some boats are getting them. Aloha Spirit and one white sea bass. Other guys limiting out. It was kind of poor conditions up there yesterday. It was all mixed up. But for the most part, there is just a giant nest of sea bass spread all throughout the Channel Islands. And it looks really good. You'll go from fishing the kind of gear they were fishing on the Pride to using a 10-ounce torpedo sinker. Sometimes that is the key. And you want to be rigged up with that fluoro and nice big hooks like 5.0, 6.0 size hook. And that will definitely get it done. That crow took off. That was a while ago, so I don't have to compete with him anymore. All right, so there's some good island fishing. There's some good offshore stuff. I love what's happening with the kelps. That yellowfin's moving up the coast. Thank God those guys in Cabo are okay. And now it's time to turn our attention to the coast, where we see, how can I put it? Decent fishing, gorgeous weather. Get out there, have a great family day. The guys, we did this Friends of Rollo trip just the other day, and fishing was far from wide open on the trip. Yet Albert Ponce and his wife Crystal and Sam De La Torre and everybody just sent me a note about what a fantastic trip it was. Because if you make it about the catching, man, I'll tell you, you're gonna have a lot of disappointment in this game. If you make it about a day on the water, you're never going to be disappointed, because a day on the water is a break from reality. It's a time to kind of get things back together. So, if I'm talking like this, by the way, fishing's kind of lame along the coast. It's not that bad. All right, down there in San Diego, occasional yellowtail, calico bass, a lot of shorts. We're seeing a little bit of barracuda here and there. There's quite a bit of barracuda up and down the coast, but it just hasn't settled to bite because our water temps along the coast are inconsistent, that's for sure. Same thing at Catalina Island, by the way. At Catalina Island, the water temp is up one day and then it's down, and fish do not bite all that well in those kinds of conditions. When those conditions are just moving up and down like that, you got wind against current, you've got water temperatures high one day and then low. Fish are like, they're spinning around in circles saying, what in the world is going on? Will this please settle down? So we're seeing a lot of that along the coast. Same thing at Cat, where you get a bonita bite every once in a while, then you just look at bonita. Some decent calico bass, some yellowtail out there. The Native Sun had a decent day yesterday. Nothing wrong with their day. So again, if you make it about the catching, you'll be disappointed all the time. hopefully cat's going to settle down, because it's been kind of a tough year out there for the most part. Back to the coast. Again, up here, there's a little bit of barracuda. There's some decent bass fishing at times. A lot of guys are relying on the sculpin and rockfish, which is kind of weird in July, but we are in kind of a La Nina, which made me think we're going to have albacore this year, which I know a lot of you are going, ha, he missed again. And it's not over yet. Hang on, everybody. It's only July. They've shown up late like this in many, many years. So my fingers are still crossed. I'm still a believer that that's going to happen. And then moving up into Redondo, good rock fishing. Oh, that dumb crow is back. There's good rock fishing up there, and there's good bass. They get hit on the barracuda and the Island Spirit up there out of Ventura Sport Fishing. They have had some really good barracuda fishing out at the islands, and they found some new areas of gar. So again, bring your surface iron if you're going. And remember what I told you the other day, and I still hold to it. Light line is the way to go when you're fishing calico bass. You're throwing an iron for barracuda, you're fishing 40 pound. You're throwing a bait and it's tough and it's hard to get a bite, you're fishing 12 pound for calicos, and you're choosing a good high bait, and your hook ratio is going to go way, way up. I'll guarantee you that. In the surf, we see a lot of corvina, some decent yellowfin croaker fishing up and down the beaches, and also we continue to see more spot fin croaker, few halibut on the Lucky Crab lures. All right, what a morning briefing, huh? Those guys in Cabo, you know that they are down at the iglesia this morning thanking Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe for their rescue, and I don't blame them, man. That must have been harrowing. It makes me think of Desiree Rodriguez and the show we did with Mark and Paul and Desiree, who's just an outstanding person. If you've never watched that, you really owe it to yourself to watch that one. And of course, there's so much good fishing going on, and you're only seeing that tip of the iceberg, 10% of what's about to happen in San Diego. At least that's my belief, because Sean Hardigan on the Mission Belt knows what he's looking at, and he's looking at a lot of yellowfin that moved in, a lot of dorado, and we're just waiting for that light switch to go on down there. And hopefully, as I said, it'll be with you on board the Mahi-mahi or whatever trip you're on. I wish you the very best. Got to meet a ton of great people last night as they were boarding the Freedom. I want to say thank you to them and the Amigo, for that matter, Nate, the charter master. I watched him out there tutoring anglers that were going to be part of his charter. Loved the way he was doing that. That is all great stuff. So many of you are members of the Friedman Adventures family, and you're sharing our videos and getting people to subscribe. Have us on the precipice this morning of 4,000 subscribers really fast. I can't thank you enough. All right, everybody, that crow is gone. It's time for me to say goodbye too. I thank you so much for joining us for the morning briefing. I'll see you back here later on today or tomorrow.